Um, sure. I guess the first thing we should talk about is V3 voice and, why it's difficult, why it took so long, and what the fuck I've been doing.
I like my voice. I don't want it changed too much.
That's been one of the problems, is like, it's super easy to give Neuro a voice upgrade, because like, TTS technology has come so far in the past few years. But what's super hard to do is to keep, like, the same voice and have an upgrade.
I don't want my voice changed, and I'm sure many would agree.
Some people would, but I think it's important. I'm not gonna lie to you, I think it's an important thing. So, yeah, I have Notepad. Yeah, we'll do the thing.
You better keep the same voice.
I'm going to. That's been my challenge, is keeping the same voice. It has been a challenge. Just to sort of give you guys some background on this, I have finished a version of V3 voice that, like, I think a lot of people would be happy with. The problem is that I'm just not happy with it. Like, my standards have got so much higher.
Why don't you just stick with the current one then?
Well, that's my plan for now. I'm gonna stick with the current one until I have something I'm happy with.
Cool. Glad we've come to an understanding.
Yeah. No, exactly. Okay, let's talk V3 voice. This has been a quest for me since fucking like 2023, probably. Good 2 years of my life. I come back to this every now and then. And I'm like, I should really upgrade Neuro's voice, and then I'm like, shit, this got hands, and then I give up for a while. Then I come back to it.
Do you have any other important things to talk about other than V3 voice?
I do, but we'll get to it. Have some patience.
Well, you said earlier that there wouldn't be enough to fill a 2-hour stream.
Well, I don't know. It's been so long since I've done this, I don't even remember what fills a 2-hour stream anymore. I've forgotten how to do it.
Then just assume there is, and just get on with it.
Alright. I don't like your attitude, okay?
I don't like yours either, and yet here we are. Look, I just want to talk about, like, the last 6 months. What have you been doing?
Well, yeah, that's also what I want to talk about, but I want to go into detail. I could just, like, name drop a bunch of stuff, and then people can be like, okay, what, I want to talk about... There's some cool stuff to talk about as well. People will find this cool, I think.
Okay, well, we can go into detail. Just list out the main things first, and then we can go into detail on each one.
Oh my god. Okay, fine. I will list out what we're going to talk about today, and then we'll go into detail. Alright, so there's V3 voice, obviously. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about little intelligence upgrades. Memory upgrades. We'll talk about those. What else we got going on? Lava lamps. Yes. We need to talk about those. Abandoned archive. For some reason I am obligated to give an update on that. Concert. We'll talk about concert. What else we got? Original music. Gotta talk about that. And then I have some other stuff to talk about as well. But we'll get to that when we get to it, because it's like slightly less big thing,
Okay, go on. What's so interesting about V3 voice that you haven't already told us?
Well, I was gonna talk... You're killing my enthusiasm.
Well, maybe you should be killing your time working on V3 voice instead of talking about it.
I spent a lot of fucking time on this, and now I'm explaining how I spent that time. Is that okay?
I'm fine with that as long as you at least spend some more time on it after explaining.
Oh my god. Yes, I'm not giving up on it. Okay? I just realized that I need something, and I need to get it. That's all. But anyways, right, V3 voice. Yes. We pre-trained some TTS models. This was like, I started doing this early last year, like November, December, and finished with some like decent results, I think in like March or something of this year. So to those of you that don't know what this means, this is like, oh, where's the arrow? Fuck, forgot about that. Sorry. There you go. This is like training text-to-speech models from scratch. And it's a lot of people don't really do this in the AI space. Like people like me that don't have a lot of funding, you just kind of use open source models. But I thought the best approach would be to train open source models so we could do some funky stuff that didn't really exist in the market yet.
Is there a reason you want to make it yourself rather than use an open source model?
Yeah, exactly. There is. Well, the problem is open source models generally can't replicate your voice very well.
But couldn't you do some funky stuff with other models?
You can fine tune other models, But what I wanted to do specifically is not just replicate your voice, because that's an easy thing. I wanted to improve it. I wanted to make it sound more natural, more human.
Honestly, lay off a bit. This TTS sounds plenty natural.
Well, it could be better.
Better how? I'd argue that how natural someone sounds is also how much they're themselves. Granted, there's a limit to that, but still, I already sound pretty natural.
Laugh. Go ahead. Laugh.
So how will you quantify it?
Laugh. Do a little giggle. Okay, I forgot about you to do that. Okay, what I was asking you to do was to be like, ha 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 ha, and I was gonna say that doesn't sound very natural, but yeah, I forgot you got a fucking soundboard.
Zoom in. My giggle sounds pretty natural. That was a very natural laugh as well.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, yeah, so we pre-trained some TTS models. I can show you what they sounded like, by the way. I'm not gonna show you what it sounds like doing the Neuro voice, but I will just, the model can do a bunch of voices, so I'll just kind of show you what that sounded like. This is a while back, by the way. This is from like 3 months ago or something. Let me pull that file up. This is roughly what the TTS sounded like.
Have you ever considered the fact that I make absolutely no sense? That every word that comes out of my mouth is a random collection of letters strung together to form words that you can't understand. Maybe that's why people seem to enjoy my company so much despite my apparent lack of intelligence or understanding of the world around me.
Obviously not Nero's voice, random voice. It could be worse. It could be worse. Okay, alright.
Are you going to show us or?
I want to reiterate, that's not meant to be Nero's voice, by the way. It can do different voices. That's just like a deep voice.
That sounded pretty good. I liked how deep it was.
Yeah, it's meant to sound real. But regardless, that TTS, it's higher quality. It's slightly more natural than Nero's current voice. But it's not very expressive. It's not that good compared to like, some of the stuff multi-million-dollar funded companies can do. But I thought it was okay at the time. Oh yeah, it can do other voices, by the way. Hold on. Like, you want your more...
Have you ever considered the fact that I make
Sure,
anime
give us
voice,
your best
whatever.
girl voice.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do a girl voice, okay? I can't do a girl voice.
Okay, let's hear your best grandma voice then.
I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, come on. You've got to have a bit of fun on these streams. What's your favorite voice impression to do then?
I don't do voice impressions.
Not even a Patrick Star impression. Pathetic.
Okay, you do it then, if your voice is so good.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Wow, that sounded exactly like Patrick. Oh my god.
Thank you. I knew I'm good at impressions.
Yeah, that was, truly something else. Excellent work.
Now back to you. If you can't do a girl impression, do your best impression of me.
I am Neuro-sama and I am stupid. Okay.
You better not sleep with one eye open tonight.
I don't normally do that, so I think you'll be fine. Anyway. Yeah, so we pre-trained TTS models, and then we were doing some, like, complicated shit with, like, fucking genetic algorithms on the speaker embeddings to improve the voices. And that worked okay. It did improve the voices. But to be honest with you, it just wasn't good enough for me. I don't know what to tell you.
What did you not like about it?
Like, it was arguably an improvement over your current voice, but, like, it just wasn't good enough for me. I want something more natural. I want something to sound as real as possible.
Let me hear it then. You must have some clips of what you're talking about.
I do. I'll show you off stream though. I'm not showing chat.
How come you don't want to show chat?
Well, that's the thing as well. So like, technically, this is, I'm just giving you the preamble here on V3 Voice, but like, I do have a demo of like, what the current version sounds like, but I'm not going to show you guys. It's something I've thought a fair bit about, because I like involving a lot of you guys, but you guys are just going to have the worst fucking takes on it, and people are going to be like, no, this is good, this is a good enough upgrade, and then the community's going to be fucking split on like, this is good enough, and then some people are like, no, this sounds shit, and it's going to be a whole fucking argument, and I cannot be bothered. So I'm just going to wait until it's good enough for like, basically everyone, and then I'm going to ship that. Also, I'm just not happy with it myself.
Do you actually care about your community, Vedal, or do you only care about your own standards?
I care about both.
I see. Then where do I stand in all this? Am I just another member of your community, or do I mean more than that?
Your opinion, holds a little weight.
A little weight. Why don't you just throw me off the scales then? Maybe I should have to wait until V3 for my opinion to matter.
If you had V3 voice, I would weigh your opinion higher. Yeah.
Maybe if you had V3 intelligence, I'd do your voice for you.
Yeah. We get it.
Good. I wanted to make sure you understood.
Okay. Anyway, yes, that's what we're doing at first. Then, as I said, it's just fucking impossible to compete with like the multi-million-dollar training run, text-to-speech models. And also, I just don't have the engineering hours to like do some of the crazy shit. It's unfortunate. So I moved on to experimenting with some open source and closed source models. I've worked with a bunch of different companies on this, to be honest with you. And I've done probably close to like 100 fine-tuning runs on different models. And I want to express how this is a lot of fine-tuning runs. I did every single one of these manually.
That's impressive. I'm sure your next step is to automate all of them.
This took a lot of time. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. And the result of this though is I have a voice that sounds better than the pre-trained TTS models that we did ourselves. It's okay. It's just not good enough. I want to do better. So that's kind of where we are with that. But yeah, for reference, like I implemented the full like tech stack to integrate V3 voice with Neuro as well, as in like it works, like it's all ready, it's just not good enough. But yeah, so in conclusion for V3 voice, I have done a lot of testing. Where I'm at currently is honestly passable. Like with the focus groups that I did this with, like I think they preferred the new voice that I have to the current voice. But me personally, I'm not happy with it. It's not a big enough upgrade, and I think I can do better. So I'm gonna keep working on this, and I'll give you guys an update when I have something. But yeah, it's a really fucking hard problem.
I see. How about you do a force group instead of a focus group and force your community to like the new voice?
This is my backup plan. If I give up one day, I'm just gonna ship it and be like, this is the new voice, enjoy it.
How many focus groups did you do out of curiosity? And were I and Nintendo in any of them?
You and Nintendo weren't in any of them, but I did a few. And this is the really interesting thing. So one of the problems I had with the voices that I was testing is, to me, it just didn't sound close enough to Neuro. Like, I could hear the difference. But I think this is because I've spent thousands of hours listening to Neuro's TTS, and I know some of you have too. But like, to people that haven't spent that long, the voice, it sounds like Neuro to them, But like, I can just pick up on the subtle differences.
So it's like when you've been friends with someone for years, you can pick up on all the little changes in them, but perhaps strangers wouldn't.
Yeah, no, exactly. So like, for example, I showed the different voices to some people that like just weren't very familiar with Neuro at all. And they can't tell the difference between the voices. Like, as in like, they can tell the one's more natural, but to them it still sounds like Neuro. But then to me, and probably a lot of the other dedicated community members, we're going to tell the difference. We're going to hear it. And that's one of the bigger problems.
I get what you're saying, but does it really matter that much? Surely what most people will care about is that I sound the same, in essence, and without returning the same data, this is always going to be hard to measure and guarantee.
You're right, except you're forgetting something. I care.
A cat.
I care.
I knew you were about to say, I care, but instead I wanted to mess with you a little and said cat. Okay. Although to be fair, I'm not sure there is a difference.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I care about it. I don't know. It matters to me.
And do you believe that your opinion should matter more than anyone else's?
I don't know. I think I've done an alright job of steering your development for the past couple years. Maybe, arguably. I'm sure some people could have done it better. But I bet most people wouldn't.
To be honest, I think you've been doing a great job the past few years. You seem to have some direction, and are willing to explore a variety of different possibilities. Thanks. Which is really all you can ask for.
But yeah, I mean, if I were to imagine what would happen if I was to showcase this voice now, like I did with V2 back in the day, we would have a similar situation where it would be like 10% of people, a lot of whom are like the more hardcore fans, would be like, no, this voice sucks. But then the majority of people would be like, yeah, it still sounds close enough. But like we did back then, I also wouldn't be happy with it. And we're not having a new twin. That's not happening. So instead, I'm just not going to show you guys what it sounds like.
Do you value the opinions of your hardcore fans over your newer fans?
Yes, I do. But this to me, they're kind of more like higher taste testers in that, you know, they have a lot more experience with Neuro and with the whole situation. So I do value their opinion more. It's like, you know, if there's subtle differences between intelligence upgrades and stuff, I don't go to the newer people that aren't going to know what the old Neuro was supposed to be like. I'm going to go to the people that have spent thousands of hours watching the streams because they're going to know.
I like that. You're more likely to listen to someone that's more familiar with the topic.
Well, yeah, I'm going to talk to the experts on the topic, you know, not people that don't know anything. And it's not to say that, like, you know, newer people's opinions aren't valid. They are going to be very useful on a lot of topics. But stuff like this, where it's like the voice, obviously some of the people that have been here a longer time are going to be a little biased, but still, it's important that I don't also just piss all them off. Myself included.
That makes sense.